Good morning and welcome to News Central Now. I'm Mazino Appeal. The headlines. Nigeria's labor union threatens shutdown over electricity tariff hike. Senegalese president approves new government. Liberia government uncovers 40,000 illegal civil servants. Details in a moment. We begin the news at this hour in Nigeria's south-south, where the chairman and members of the Board of Equity set up by the Defense Headquarters to probe the Okuama killings have arrived at Delta State. The state governor, Sheriff Oborevwori, received them on a courtesy visit at the Government House Annex, Warri. The chairman of Board of Equity, Air Vice Marshal David Ajayi, said the board is in the state to investigate the unfortunate incidents that happened at Okuama community, where 17 soldiers were ambushed and killed. He called on the governor to assist the board in the inquiry to ensure that relevant stakeholders were invited to give account of what led to the crisis. Meanwhile, Governor Oborevwori said his administration was sorely pained about recent crises leading to the killings in the community. The governor, who narrated how the state managed the situation, said the state government would do all that it could to assist the board on its assignment.
The Uruboko Council of Traditional Rulers restated their call for the setting up of an independent investigative inquiry into the immediate and remote causes of the Okuama military incident, as this is the only way the truth can be revealed and avoid future incidents. 2, that the good people of Ewu Kingdom should remain calm and law-abiding, as the council will ensure that no innocent person suffers unjustly. 3, the council once more commiserate with the families of the slain soldiers and the Nigerian Army.
Chairman of the Council, His Royal Majesty Dr. Emmanuel Sideso, on the Okuama bloodbath. Now, moving on, there was a drama in Kaduna State, a local government located in Nigeria's northwest region, as 5 persons were reportedly killed, with another 20 injured as personnel of the Nigeria Police Force clashed with members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria. The police, however, says that the clash followed efforts by its personnel to avert a public disturbance following intelligent information received. The spokesperson of the Kaduna State Police Command accused the Shiite members of attacking the police with dangerous weapons, thus its resort to the use of force to maintain law and order.
Intelligent information that these members are planning to have a possession and which they are planning to block most of our major road and our market. So with this information, Commissioner of Police order our policemen to go there and put them in strategic places. And as a result, these people came out today. As they came out, cited the police on their various positions, these people started stoning our men. As you can see, some of them are even using all dangerous weapons, starting shooting the police. And the police, as a law enforcement agencies, there is no way why we can allow such, which we know that this is very, very unlawful assembly. And with that, we have to use the minimal force to disperse them and to ensure that the law-abiding citizens have continued enjoying their peaceful causes.
And now a bit of security. 2 communities, Agojeju Ado and Abejukulu in Omala local government area of Kogi State, northern Nigeria, have been invaded by gunmen. No fewer than 19 people have been killed, while yet to be ascertained number of houses have been razed. Eyewitnesses in Lokoja on Friday said that the incident happened on Thursday when the gunmen mobilized in what is described as a reprisal and invaded the 2 communities, inflicting maximum damages. The bandits, who were having a running battle with Agatu militia in Benue State, had extended their onslaughts to Agojeju Odo, Ajokpachi Odo, Ajayi and environs, destroying their farm produce. Nigeria's federal government says that the recent increase in electricity tariff for Band A customers enjoying 20 to 24 hours of electricity will relieve government of about 50% of funds used to subsidize the electricity sector. Nigeria's Minister of Power, during a ministerial scorecard series in Abuja, says that the increase has become apt, as it will also enable government focus on investing in other key sectors of the economy and providing liquidity for investment in infrastructure. Amadin Uyi reports.
The ministerial scorecard series was the fourth since its inception. In attendance were senior officials from the Ministry of Information and National Orientation and the Ministry of Power. The Minister of Information and National Orientation says that the series is aimed at informing citizens of government's efforts and performances in key sectors.
It is designed to bring information to the doorstep of Nigerians, because information is one of the strong pillars of democracy.
The Minister of Power, while giving an update on activities in the Power Ministry, also took time to explain why the recent tariff increase had become necessary.
As of today, before the introduction of the tariff increase, government is subsidizing nothing less than 67% of the cost of producing, transmitting, and distributing electricity in Nigeria. At the current exchange rate, this is going to translate into 2.9 trillion naira for 2024. This is more than 10% of the national budget.
In January, the generation invoice was 240 billion to the discos. Discos were only mandated to pay 24 billion. That is 10%. So that tells you that 90% of the generation cost, in this case, you know, I didn't mention transmission and distribution so that you don't think that the figures are different. 90% of the generation cost was being borne by the government.
He says that the power sector must relieve government of the burden of subsidies so that it can focus on other important sectors.
Power sector is just a single sector out of so many sectors that government has to attend to. We have the works, we have housing, we have education, we have health, we have defense, and so on and so forth, that are all competing for this meager revenue from the government. So it will be very, very insensitive on our part to force or compel governments to continue to subsidize at that rate of almost 3 trillion for the power sector alone.
The minister also added that the recent tariff increase for Band A electricity customers in the country will make funds available for investment in critical infrastructure by generating companies and core investors. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Meanwhile, the decision to increase electricity tariff has not gone down well with the Nigerian Labour Congress, which has told the federal government to prepare for the consequences of the tariff hike, which it described as wicked and unpopular, stressing that since the government preferred to listen to the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, it should be ready to face the consequences. And to judicial matters now, Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Gabriel Dawan, has sworn in 9 new members into the Assembly. While speaking with journalists after the plenary session, the Speaker said the development became necessary after he received a communication that the sworn-in members had fulfilled what he refers to as necessary requirements. News Central's Chizoba Anyanwe reports.
Early Friday morning at about 7 o'clock, the Plateau State House of Assembly members had an emergency plenary. This is at least 2 hours earlier than the usual time the Assembly reconvenes. The reason for this is simple: to swear in 8 out of the 16 APC members and 1 Labour Party member that were declared by the Court of Appeal to have won their elections into the state legislature. Even with this, 7 seats remain vacant, despite the judgment of the appellate court that sealed every contest to the position.
This is a Plateau State House Assembly. There are procedures. When court declares a member, that doesn't mean that you automatically qualify to be sworn in. There are other processes to be followed. Maybe the forwarding of their certificate of return, the CTC copy of the judgment, and so on. So far, so good. What I can say for now is that maybe the other ones will follow suit, as the case may be.
Governor Caleb Mutfwang was on hand at the Government House to receive the new members shortly after their swearing in, as led by the Speaker and his new deputy, Madaki Ajayi, who represents Jos East constituency.
We will collaborate with the House of Assembly. There are many things that need to be put right in our state, and it can only be done with an active, productive legislative house. And so we're going to ensure that we facilitate your training, your equipping, and your capacity to enhance your capacity to make laws for the good governance of Plateau State.
State chairman of the APC seems to be uncomfortable with this development when he briefed journalists.
We cannot continue at every point in time to bring negative news for Plateau. It is so disgraceful that what has happened today is disgraceful to Plateau, it's disgraceful to Nigeria, it's disgraceful to democracy. It is quite unfortunate that people who have gone to school, people who call themselves learned, are turning the law upside down. This is so unfortunate. We as a party, we take exception to what our members have done.
The House of Assembly has embarked on a 2-week recess to reconvene after the Eid al-Fitr holiday. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyuwi.
Now, a fresh crisis is brewing in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, following the list of caretaker committee members it recently published to run the affairs of some states and local government areas. It was gathered that the list of Rivers State was particularly generating controversies and deepening the already existing political crisis between the camps of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Nelson Wike, and the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara. Fubara on Thursday fumed over the list, describing it as fake and insisting that it fell short of the agreement the PDP governors had with the party's NWC. Fubara insisted that Rivers would abide by the decision that the executive officers whose tenure had expired in March should remain in their various capacities for the 3 months extension period approved by the NWC elapses to enable the conduct of fresh Congress. And in more news here in Nigeria, we will bring you this right after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome to News Central now. And in more news, in Nigeria, fuel scarcity has resurfaced across Nigeria's commercial capital as marketers claim that the depots now have limited supply. Experts blame the situation volatility of the Naira. News Central's Betiana Nyowi reports.
Barely a week into the second quarter of the year, Lagosians are faced with yet another bout of fuel scarcity, a situation that citizens are not too pleased about.
They let the money on fuel. All the filling stations now, they had the information. They don't have the fuel. They didn't sell it. Maybe say fuel is scarce, or they have the fuel inside the tanker. They don't want to sell it because they don't want to sell at a no price.
I've been here for more an hour. Then what we hear about the fuel, where is scarce now? They say Dangote don't start their refinery, and these people now, Nigerians, the fuel where they carry can't give us for Nigeria. They say they never said their fuel before everything they come out. Now the thing where would they hear?
Speaking to experts about the recent development, Gbolahan Oloyede, an energy expert, had this to say.
There were issues around pricing by the petroleum transporters at some point. I think that was part of what caused one of the February scarcity. There are also issues around supply. You mentioned the fact that NNPC had become the sole importer again. And the reason is clear. The reason is because of the instability of the volatility of the currency.
There were reports that the ex-depot price crashed from 640 naira per litre to 630 naira per litre for independent marketers, while NNPC Limited sold at 570 naira per litre. However, Olufemi Shoneye, Chief Corporate Communications Officer of the NNPC Limited, on Wednesday, dismissed reports that there is a downward adjustment of price on petrol and diesel at its retail stations nationwide. With the current economic hardship that citizens are currently struggling to deal with, as well as epileptic power supply coupled with inflation of foodstuff, the addition of fuel scarcity may just be a little too much. All at the helm of power will do well to nip this issue in the bud before it becomes much more of a problem. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Unwili.
Now, commercial tricycle riders, popularly called keke in Umuahia, Abia State Capital, have called for leniency from the government following the imposition of penalties on some of them by the State Road Traffic and Safety Management Agency over traffic offences. They also want the government to reduce the fines imposed on offenders. News Central's Chinwe Ogele reports.
Since the ban on commercial motorcycles as a means of internal transportation in Umuahia and Aba metropolises, the people of the two cities have resorted to the use of keke. Before now, keke operators had operated in every part of the urban cities with absolutely no restrictions. Keke riders say it will be easier to obey the traffic laws if the necessary infrastructure is put in place by the government.
There is no space, no bus stop. All these timers have been disturbing us because of parking along the road. But where are we going to park?
We don't have a bus stop. As of gate now, there is no way that there's no exact place that they tell us to park. If you park, they will come and catch you their place.
But the state government says it wants to instill sanity in the minds of the riders to make the city modern as it should.
We'll discuss that with His Excellency. Some of these that have been built, where for now, His Excellency has done a lot in terms of helping us to do a kind of emergency pickup and drop zones. What we are doing, if you look very well, you see no parking zone with what do you call it, with the safety taps. Who create surgeons, put a man there. You come in, you go out.
The general manager of the agency, Mr. Ezi Chikalo, said the enforcement will help make the riders obey all the laws.
The idea of my agency is not to make money. The idea is to make sure there's sanity on the road. So from that man, we never touch anybody's keke and find out. We started the enforcement December.
Some claim to be law-abiding, while others frown at the imposition of fines for every traffic offense.
They are doing a very good job. Once you are obeying the traffic, you have no issues with them.
The fine they are giving to the seller is much, based on what we are realizing on the keke riding. but as of the defaulters, it's not good.
As disturbing as the operations of keke riders may be, they are what people term as necessary evil, given the vacuum they occupy. In Umuahia News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says that the Abuja Metro line is about 97% complete. The minister, who had visited the Metro line, one of the projects billed for commissioning by President Bola Tinubu on May the 29th, expressed satisfaction at the work seen on ground. Amadine Uyi reports.
The minister, Nyesom Wike, arrived at the newly constructed Metro Line terminal in the heart of the capital. From there, he inspected ongoing construction works at the station. Wike then proceeded to the airport terminal to inspect work ongoing at the location. He expressed satisfaction at the work seen on ground.
We are very happy. We're almost 97%. All the works are going on to make sure that May is a reality. And I want to say that as of yesterday, Mr. President has approved the schedule for the commissioning of projects for his 1 year in office. ECC, they were assured of that all the renovation works will be ready before the commissioning date. I believe this will be the first project that Mr. President would like to inaugurate, because it's very key to the development of the economy, particularly as far as FCT is concerned.
Following questions from newsmen, he says that the FCT administration will also invest in other forms of transportation means for residents.
We have told you that we are also putting up 3 terminals for the road transportation. And of course, we are running out our own transport system so that we'll be able to contain this one chance criminality we have found in Abuja. By May, you will see that our own transport system will be used, and people will no longer take the risk of entering vehicles. They don't know those who are operating the vehicles.
With the Metro line now completed, air travelers will now be able to transit from the airport to the heart of the city center by train. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
In Nigeria's northeast, Save the Children International and Borno State government are deepening ties with discussions on extending services to rural communities. The decision came after Nigeria's country director of Save the Children International, Duncan Harvey, and deputy country director, Fatan Krisniki, visited Maiduguri for strategic engagement with government officials and assessment of how to improve their services in the region. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The smile of Mariam Umar, a victim of insurgency and blind mother of 12 in Nigeria's northeast. She narrates her ordeals, how doctors saved her and her child battling with life-threatening ailments. There are many of such stories, but officials of the intervening humanitarian response organization are here to assess the services and engage in discussions with government officials on several gray areas.
As we begin to have less of attacks, as IDP camps are being closed in Maiduguri and environs, as more people return to their ancestral homes, we are having more women and children that need attention. Our interventions has to go beyond the urban areas. That way, the impact will be better felt, and at the end of the day, the solution would have become more durable.
And we are conducting security assessments now to see which LGAs we may be able to extend into. I think Mobar is one of those where we are actively considering, and there are others that we would like to work in if the security situation on the ground allows us to.
The primary focus was on child protection, education, health, nutrition, and the implementation of wash facilities.
We can only achieve sustainable impact by working closely with our government partners, with our local NGOs, with the communities that we work with, and with children themselves. That's what brings impact, that's what brings sustainable change, and that's what we're sort of committed to do.
They visited various sites, including the Herwa Peace Center, Mulay Nutrition and Stabilization Center, and Mega Child Friendly Space, where children learn different trades.
If we can get assistance for temporary learning center for some of these communities in the state expanded local government and in the existing local government, will be very much grateful.
The major issue which the government and the humanitarian actors have to battle with is the number of out-of-school children, lack of adequate water facilities, among others. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Coming up, Senegal's new president approves a new government. We will bring you the details after the break. Welcome back. Now, the news continues in West Africa, where Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko says a new government has been appointed with 25 ministers and 5 junior ministers. The cabinet was approved by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who was inaugurated on Tuesday and appointed Sonko a key backer as Prime Minister. The cabinet will be closely watched after Faye made radical campaign promises such as dropping the CFA franc, West Africa common currency. The key appointments include Sheikh Diba as Finance Minister. Diba was previously the Finance Ministry's Director of Budget Programming. Abdurrahman Sarr was named Economy Minister. The Oil and Energy Minister will be led by Birame Souleye Diop, who was Vice President of Sonko and Faye's now dissolved PASTEF party. 2 generals were named Interior and Defense Ministers.
Lui proposer une équipe gouvernementale conforme à notre projet pour le Sénégal. Le gouvernement ainsi mis en place ce 5 avril 2024 est un gouvernement de rupture et d'appropriation des aspirations et attentes légitimes des populations. C'est un gouvernement qui incarne le projet, une transformation systémique plébiscitée par le peuple sénégalais le 24 mars 2024 à travers l'élection au premier tour avec 54,28% des suffrages de son Excellence M. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, président de la République. Ce gouvernement donc compte 25 ministres et 5 secrétaires d'État. C'est un gouvernement de rassemblement cohérent et rationalisé en termes de ministères. C'est un gouvernement de proximité, un gouvernement d'innovation et d'efficacité, exclusivement au service du bien-être.
Staying in the West, the Liberian government says it has discovered over 40,000 illegal civil servants in its system. The Director General of the Civil Service Agency, Josiah Jokai, revealed that the details of the civil servants were entered incorrectly or not at all into the Personal Action Notice, PEN. The PEN process is a mandatory requirement for employment. There are at least 70,000 civil servants in Liberia, and more than 50% are currently illegal because they did not do the PEN process. Jokai said the process comprises the full details of individuals who are entered on the government employment roster after completing evaluation and credential checks. And in more news outside of Nigeria, the east of Africa this time, the Somali region of Somaliland and Puntland have rejected an order by the federal government to close Ethiopian diplomatic missions on their soil as tensions spiral in the Horn of Africa. Somalia told the Ethiopian ambassador to leave the country within 72 hours and recall its own envoy to Addis Ababa, accusing Ethiopia of interfering in its internal affairs. It also ordered the shutdown of Ethiopia's consulate in the breakaway region of Somaliland and the semi-autonomous state of Puntland within 7 days. Somalia is fiercely at odds with Ethiopia over a deal signed by Addis Ababa with Somaliland in January, giving the landlocked country long-desired access to the sea, branding it illegal and a violation of its sovereignty. Still ahead, aftermath of Taiwan's earthquake leaves Hualien presidents struggling. We'll bring you more details after the break. Families of Taiwan's earthquake are struggling to pick up the pieces of their lives in Hualien, the epicenter of Taiwan's biggest earthquake in 25 years, waiting to be allowed into to collect their belongings. The lobby's floors were littered with glass and broken tiles, and the calendar behind the reception had its page torn to April 3rd. It marks a magnitude 7.4 tremor that was felt across the island. In epicenter Hualien, it left buildings tilted, tunnels crushed, and landslides tumbling down the mostly mountainous region.
然后我就刚好要换衣服用站着，所以它是上下摇晃比较厉害。我第一时间就倒下去，那个整个屁股往那个地下这样，所以现在没办法，等下要去看医生。
我们今天来把家里的东西先移出来，一些贵重物品。
第二次拿。
对，我们昨天有来一次，然后今天是第2次。对，昨天就是先拿贵重，然后今天就是拿衣物跟家电这样子。我之前是2018年2月6号那一次，就比较严重，但是没有遇到就是房屋要迁离，要被迫迁离的情况。对。
然后那早上的时候，他们就是群组有播说还可以再进去，对，因为还是要感谢我们这次的里长帮忙，然后就是让我们再一次可以进去里面，就是整理我们自己要用的东西，对，我们基本上昨天有进去先把一些很重要的切菜啊什么这些。
Now, Peruvian President Dina Boluarte says the Rolex watches that put her in the crosshairs of corruption investigators had been lent to her by a friend, and denies owning other luxury items as the scandal shakes her fragile government. Boluarte's remarks, broadcast on state television, comes after she spent 5.5 hours giving a statement to public prosecutors in the affairs dubbed Rollergate, or rather Rolexgate.
Respecto de los relojes, debo reconocer que fue una equivocación haber aceptado en calidad de préstamo estos relojes que mi amigo Wilfredo Oscorima, mi guayqui, mi hermano, me los haya prestado. Quizá en respecto a las joyas, queridas hermanas y hermanos del Perú, todo lo que han dicho es falso. Un juego de collar y de pendientes con perlas cultivadas, marca Van Cleef de $70,000. Totalmente falso. Estos pendientes que me los he puesto hoy día y este collar, ¿saben de qué marca es?
Para este gobierno asesino, criminal, que necesita ponerse alhajas, joyas para sentirse bien, para no sentir el desprecio que tiene del pueblo peruano.
Estamos saliendo a las calles porque estamos cansados que el pueblo peruano esté pasando hambre mientras ella se lleva la mano dando una cachetada al pobre con una pulsera de 50,000. De verdad que considero que debe ir presa.
An earthquake shook the densely populated New York City metropolitan area on Friday morning, with residents reporting they felt rumbling across the northeast. The U.S. Geological Survey reports an earthquake with a primarily magnitude of a 4.7 center near Lebanon, New Jersey, or about 45 miles west of New York City and 50 miles north of Philadelphia. The Fire Department of New York said there were no initial reports of damage. The shaking stirred memories of the August 23, 2011 earthquake that jolted tens of millions of people from Georgia to Canada, registering magnitude 5.8. It was the strongest quake to hit the East Coast since World War II. The epicenter was in Virginia. Earlier, former presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore, was on the news and spoke about the impact of this quake.
Well,
This is my own first experience with an earthquake. I was sitting sipping coffee in the morning, and I just felt like our building was tied to a train and moving. So initially we thought it was a railroad around us, but later on we found out it was an earthquake some 2 minutes later, because we were getting emergency information from the city's the state emergency system from New York City, and then people started reporting on social media that this was an earthquake. So it was kind of very surreal to find the earth moving under your feet. And it happened so quick. I think this lasted for about 20 to 25 seconds on our end. It's about 25 miles to 30 miles from where we're at. I mean, the epicenter is in New Jersey, on the borders of, I think, Philadelphia. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania. So far, no injuries that I know, but a lot of buildings were shaking, and Americans are quite shaky. You know, they get shaken quickly when things like this happen.
And now let's join our business desk for today's business news.
On Business Tonight, we tell you that the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission has implemented a new electricity tariff for Band A consumers based on an exchange rate of 1,463 naira 3 kobo to a dollar. This revised multi-year tariff order was issued to all one electricity distribution companies in the country in 2024. The exchange rate used in the new order is significantly higher than the previous rate of 919 naira 38 kobo to a dollar, resulting in a difference of 543 naira 92 kobo. The NERC has also incorporated the new domestic gas price of $2.42 per metric million British thermal unit set by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency in determining the updated electricity tariff for Band A consumers. We also tell you that the governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, John Mushayavanu, has announced the introduction of a new currency called ZiG, a short word for Zimbabwe gold, during the presentation of the 2024 Monetary Policy Statement on April 5, 2024. Mushayavanu revealed that the ZiG notes will be available in denominations of 1, 2, 5, 10, 50, and 100, while coins will come in half and quarter of ZiG. Banks will now convert current Zimbabwe dollar balances to ZiG, and individuals have 21 days to exchange their Zimbabwean dollar notes for the new currency. Those with 100,000 Zimbabwe dollar worth of notes will need to provide an explanation for the source and purpose of holding such amounts. Ethiopia's creditors, under the aegis of the Paris Club of Creditors, have granted an extension to the country until the end of June to reach a support deal with the International Monetary Fund, according to sources. Previously, Ethiopia had secured an agreement with international creditors in November, suspending debt repayments for 2023 and 2024. However, this suspension was contingent on reaching a deal with the IMF by March 31. Unfortunately, IMF experts left Addis Ababa without reaching an agreement with the authorities. Ethiopia's foreign debt is estimated to be around $28.61 billion, according to the World Bank. Despite Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's promise to reform the country's closed and state-denominated economy when he assumed office in 2018, little progress has been made.
And now let's go for a short break before bringing you the rest of the news. Welcome back. And now in the world of sports, the Super Falcons of Nigeria claimed the first leg advantage in the final round of the Olympic qualifiers after a 1-0 win over South Africa in Abuja on Friday. The Super Falcons took the lead in the 43rd minute when defender Noko Matlo committed a foul inside the box, and the Falcons were awarded a penalty. Rashida Ajibade converted from the penalty spot to give the Super Falcons a first leg advantage. The two teams will now face off at the Luftus Versveld for the second leg encounter slated for Tuesday, the 9th of April.
Finds Echegini. Echegini dispossessed there, but she went it back. Echenakanu. He tries to Goal kick, South Africa. South Africa is trying to build. They cross into the box there. But beautiful header there. Stick work rate to race back there and stop the ball there. Good.
A bit unfortunate not to have a 2 or 3 goal victory tonight. But I thought the team played very well. I thought defensively, considering we had some new players in the back, missing Plumpter and DeMayan. I think the back forward stood very strong. I can only remember, I'll have to look at the stats, but I only remember really two good opportunities that they had. And so overall, I thought we controlled the game. Parts of the things we wanted to do offensively, we did. As I said in the last press conference, we still have to finish these opportunities. But, you know, now we're at this point where there's one match left, and the bottom line is we just need to go get a result at this point. So that's what.
Now, the Moroccan women's national football team clinched a hard-fought 2-1 victory against Zambia on Friday evening in Ndola, edging closer to securing a spot at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Morocco broke the deadlock just before halftime, with Zeneb Redouani delivering a stunning strike from long range in the 54th, or rather 45th minute, but an 80-minute goal from Lushomo Mwemba leveled the scoreline. Rosella Ajayi emerged as the hero for her team, scoring the winning goal of the encounter. The Moroccan women's national team will now turn their attention to the return leg in Morocco on Tuesday the 9th, where they will aim to finish the job and book their ticket to Paris 2024.
جزاء تمرير ديال فاطمه تاغناوت دخول داخل منطقه جزاء تمريره روتسيلا لاعبه توتنهام بطريقه ممتازه بطريقه ذكيه تغالط الكل وتضع الكره في الشباك هدف.
And Bonnie James, the son of NBA legend LeBron, has announced he will enter the 2024 draft. This announcement comes less than a year after the 19-year-old suffered a cardiac arrest during practice at the University of Southern California. Bronny later had surgery to repair a congenital heart defect, but returned to make his college debut for USC in December. All-time NBA leading scorer LeBron has made no secret of his desire to share the court with his son. The 39-year-old, who plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, has said the chance to play with his son in an NBA game would be a dream come true. And that's all for this hour here on News Central TV today. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Nigeria's labor union threatens shutdown over electricity tariff hike. Senegalese president approves new government. And Liberian government uncovers 40,000 illegal civil servants. Now you want to send your eyewitness reports to WhatsApp number being displayed on your screen right now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.